everyone, I'm Nikki Haverstock and this is the Author 2 portion of my YouTube channel. I am a self-published author and I primarily write cozy mysteries. I'm going to talk today about release schedule. So if you've been around the AuthorTube community or authors kind of anywhere, you've probably heard of the term rapid release. And that's where you write a number of books and you save them up and then you release them rapidly. Maybe every 2 weeks, maybe every month, maybe every 6 weeks, whatever. But it's much faster than you could have done it if you had released them as you wrote them. People push this as a great strategy, is super effective. And if you've been around long enough, you may think that is the only way to release. Now, I like rapid release. I have friends who've done it. They've had great success in it, especially when they started out or moving into a new genre or something like that and they want to make a big splash. But that's not how I release. And not every author does do this. And so I wanted to do a video on the opposite side of just kind of consistent releases. You write a book. You know, I'm not saying you just write it and release it the next day. You still go through all the steps, the editing, all that. Maybe you pick a day that you think, okay, it's not a national holiday, it's not conflicting with other with other things, and then you release it. Move on to the next book. So I thought I would kind of present some reasons why this kind of more consistent release schedule might be a good fit for you. I'm not saying rapid release is bad. Never said that. If you listen to this and you listen to a rapid release video, you might still pick the rapid release. All of these things are not issues for everyone. But I thought, I'm not seeing a lot of people discussing this particular idea, so I'm going to go into it. So I have 5 reasons. They're not the only 5 reasons, but they're the 5 reasons I picked for this video, and they're not going to apply to everyone, but they might apply to you. The first is that when you release as you go along, you have the opportunity to offset costs. So if you write 6 books and you bank 6 books, you hold on to them, you have to pay for all of that. Covers, editing, formatting, any sort of things that go into the cost of your book, you are paying that and you are holding that cost over until you release them. So a lot of authors, when they ask about their system, they'll say, it's not making me any money sitting in my drawer. Figuratively, because we're not keeping books in our drawer anymore. But that's what they mean, is that sure, I can save up books, but a lot of times when people say, oh, I made $10,000 in 3 months, they don't mention that it might have taken a year to save up all that, and they had costs that they had on their I'm going to say credit card. Hopefully you're not paying for stuff on a credit card, but you know, they've had costs. So really what they made was they made $10,000, which is still a lot of money, over a year and 3 months. I'm not saying that's bad, like, oh, that's so terrible, but it does change the perspective. So if you're in a position where you cannot afford to cover, edit, all that stuff, 6 books and sit on them, even if you write 3 books and then start the editing process, that takes time. So if you want them to be ready, you have to offset some of those costs. My books take a while to be edited just because of how I do it. Each book takes about 2 months. So I would need to be getting those edited as I continue to write. And I like to do that anyway, because if someone points out a plot hole in book 1, I don't want to have to go through all remaining 5 books. That is just how I write. That is not an issue for everyone. Okay, so the first one is offsetting costs. You can have some money coming back in to offset your costs that you're spending. Second one is that you're, especially for new authors, developing a voice, a brand, a unique point of view, feedback, all this, which is the idea is that when you release one book, not only do you hopefully start getting some money back to cover your costs, but you're also getting feedback. Maybe a character that you thought was a throwaway character are people's favorite. So you have the opportunity to bring that into the second book or third book. Maybe it's not uncommon. I did write 2 books before I released my first book because I wanted to have a clear idea of how long it would take. And then after that, I started releasing. And so I was actually writing my 3rd book when my first book released. But that's when I found out that people loved the dog. I added a dog because I couldn't imagine having a happy home without a dog. You know, she's moved to this new location. My first book, she's a divorcee. She's starting her life over. You have to start over with a dog. What's life without an animal? Or a cat, or a horse, whatever. But the idea is I was able to get an idea of what people were responding to. There were things that I didn't realize that I was doing that became one of the signatures of my voice. So I think especially for newer authors, if you've written 50, 60 books, maybe you already know what the book's going to be and there's no amount of feedback that's going to change you. But if you're moving into a new genre, you might want that feedback, okay? So I think there is some benefit to seeing how the first book does, seeing how the second book does. I mean, I've heard people say, you know, I can't spend 2 years writing the full 10 books in this series, release book 1 and have nothing. Book 2, nothing. Book 3, nothing. It can sometimes take a little while for things catch on, but you've now devoted 2 years of your life, whereas if they had done it along the way, they might have cut out after book 5, because it's kind of a general theory is that if the book's not catching on after book 5, book 6 and 7 probably aren't going to help. After book 1, you can still kind of not know. Another thing is, you dreamed your whole life of being an author. I'm just assuming here. You've written the book. You want to get started. You want to get started on your career. You want to start building your platform. You want to start your newsletter. I think it's a kind of legitimate reason to go ahead and start publishing books. So this is more for someone who's starting out. I think that's okay. That I will still say it's not the worst idea to start book 2 and then start publishing, but the idea that you have to save up 6 books to start, that's the only way you can. And then also, maybe you want to start now. The industry, I don't mean this badly, it's not getting easier. It's still doable. I'm not trying to be, you know, Johnny farts on your party or anything, but maybe you just want to get started. You want to be an author. You want to have a book published. I think it's an okay reason to publish. Mentally clear the deck. This is a thing for me, is that I have a hard time letting go of a book. And I know a lot of people who have this, which is, sorry, my phone buzzed. As long as that book is not published, they want to futz with it. And that can be an overwhelming issue. For me, as long as the book is not published, I worry. Once I publish it, it's gone from my mind on to the next thing. And so mentally clearing the deck, getting it out of your hands. I can't tell you if that's something that you need to do or not, but you might be able to say, yeah, if I held on to 3 books, I would continue to rewrite book 1. That is a great reason. Unless that is the only book you plan to ever write. You know, there's something to be, I'm not trying to tell people that To Kill a Mockingbird isn't, you know, a great book, and it was the only book really that she wrote. I know she wrote another one, but anyway, the idea is I'm not trying to tell you can't, but I want you to ask yourself, can I mentally move on, or am I going to have a problem with it? And then another idea is that if you always rapid release, what happens is you have this concentration of books and then you have these long lulls. Concentration of books and these long lulls. And I'll tell you, as someone who has had unintentional lulls, your royalties drop, everything drops, it gets harder and harder, you have fewer things to promote. So I like to just have steady. My goal has been a book every 4 months. That has not happened for a few years, but I'm hoping to get back to it. I would love to have a book every 3 months. 4 months, or somewhere between 3.5 months, is probably the best that I could ever do. But that gives my readers an expectation. They come back and they check on me. Is the next book ready? And so they can see I'm still publishing in these books, all that kind of stuff. So that is 5 reasons why you don't have to rapid release. Now, you might say none of those apply to you. Great, then go rapid release. I want to encourage you to use the system that is best for you, your business, your mental well-being, your creativity, because all of those things are important. It's not just a business, because you are the publisher, the marketer, the author, all those things, assuming you self-publish. You traditionally publish, that's totally different. So anyway, tell me which way you're leaning. It's totally fine if you do rapid release. You can post that below and I'm not going to be all salty about it. Okay, bye.